You can't see this, but I have my Riverside shirt on. Or wait, actually, you can see this because I'm going to post a video. Never mind. Love this. So, last episode, Caitlin Sullivan was on the show, and she and I talked about AI and how it's changed customer research and different ways that she's using it. And so we had a great conversation around that. At the very end, she asked me, what needs to change so that you have more trust in using AI tools? I think it's a great question. So essentially, what would have to change for you to feel that AI is now trustworthy? Because we did have a conversation around that. And so thought about that, and I'll give some of my thoughts on this. So first is if there was something built in that would audit answers, like that one crucial double check. Is that actually true? Did that actually happen with quotes and timestamps automatically? Because I have to remember to ask that every single time. And so that would be awesome if that was just built in. Another idea is playing devil's advocate. So pointing out what might be wrong with the answer and any ideas or steps I can take to fix what's wrong. For example, it's finding that a lot of customers in customer research, a lot of customers said easy to use. And while there's a lot of signal around that and repetition, it doesn't mean that that's your key value prop or differentiator or the thing that will make more people buy, which is really what matters with insights, right? And saying like, here's what you can ask next. Here's an idea for what you can do next. So playing devil's advocate. Another idea is like, I think it would be cool to see some kind of dashboard, like percent mistakes going down over time. Otherwise, how do I know it's actually getting better? How do I know the tool is getting better over time? People are saying that's happening, but like, how do I know? I need to see the data. And then I'll have more trust in the tool that I'm using. Some more thoughts on research. So, like confidence scoring on insights with reasoning. So, show me which insights are high confidence versus speculative and why. For example, like this pattern appears in 8 out of 10 interviews with consistent language versus this theme was kind of inferred from some indirect comments. Like I recommend verifying something like that, confidence scoring, that would be cool. Another idea is like flagging when it hits the limits of like what AI can do for you. So right now we're so used to like the confidence, like confidently spitting out, here are 70 insights. And instead it should say like, I found strong patterns. The other signals need human judgment because I'm missing this context or whatever. So like flagging the limits would be awesome. Another idea is like better handling of what's underneath problem. I think like in our conversation, Caitlin and I talked about the Whoop screen example where customers are saying they want a screen, but they actually need like something else. They don't necessarily want the screen. So AI should be prompted to automatically ask like, it should just automatically do this. Like, what problem would this solve? What could this problem solve? And distinguish between like the stated wants and underlying needs to help with handling of like what's underneath. What could they actually mean by saying this? Something else, I thought that I would stop at 3, but let's just keep going. This is actually really interesting, like comparing to past research with conflict alerts. Like back in August 2024, research pointed to X, but this new data shows Y. Here are 3 possible explanations. Like maybe it's a different segment, different market shift, or some contradictory data. And like, let's investigate this further before making any strategic decisions. That would be awesome. Another idea is like sample bias warnings. Like, listen, you just had like these interviews with enterprise, all 15 interviews were enterprise customers. Like, you're missing the perspective from small medium businesses. Your conclusion about whatever topic may not apply across all segments. So just like warning. I think that would be super helpful. And I think it would also be helpful to know what was excluded. and why. Like, not just like what the patterns were that were found, but what it filtered out as noise with the reasoning behind it. And let me look at that and let me audit the filtering logic and not just see the final output. So you can see like there's a lot of like transparency and uncertainty that I'm talking about. And I think the more transparent, the more calling out the uncertainty, the more trust I will gain. One last thing is like accountability trail. So if I'm using AI to help me make strategic decisions and something doesn't work, I would love a way to trace back like what happened, what data went into this decision, what was the logic behind it, and then I could figure out where things went wrong. I think right now there's like no clear trail, and so maybe there's some way to make the tool more accountable for decisions and for like the input to decisions that you're making, so you could look back and see like what happened and where was that logic. So great question. If you have anything else to add, like let me know. I think that it's a really important question to be asking because there's so much kind of a little bit of that trust that's missing, a lot of that trust that's missing because a lot of these solves are missing, right? So those are just some ideas for what it would take to feel like AI is actually way more trustworthy than it is today. But thanks for that question, Caitlin. I loved it.